Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to do a product recommendations video, which I don't think I've done for a very long time. So as you can probably tell from the title, today I want to share with you guys some of my favorite neutral palettes and everyday palettes, and they have a variety of price ranges, so let's get straight into it. Now, if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know I love neutral palettes and exclusively what I wear almost. I do like to experiment with color, but that's like a bathroom makeup situation, like pre-shower makeup. That's when I go off with the colors, and like occasionally Halloween or something, like when I have a party or a theme where I can be a little bit boisterous with my makeup, but usually I'm quite toned down, neutrals. So I am an expert, in my opinion, at neutral palettes, and I just know so many, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. I do want to make a preface that I have warm tones, so that means a lot of my palettes are leaning warm neutral rather than cool tones. So if you do have cool tones, these palettes, some of them will work, but I will make a special notice of whether they're more like warm or cool tone. So please keep that in mind. And if you have olive tones, also keep in mind that I'm a warm tone kind of person. I want to start off first with my favorite neutral palette ever. This is the 3CE Smoother palette, and you can see this one has been loved, and also a lot of it has been used. So this is an all matte palette, and what I love about this is I also go through phases where I only wear matte eyeshadow, so I don't always go for glitters, but this is a palette that you can really pair with anything. I love to use this before like I put on like a glitter, just because I know all these will just mush in really well together. The formula is phenomenal. It's really soft, really buttery, and really easy to just blend out, buff, and also build up pigment. These palettes, I feel 3CE has a tendency to make their eyeshadows something that is pigmented but easy to buff away, but some of these shades, especially lighter ones, it's something that is super light, but once you build up you can really see the true undertones of it, which I really like. And products like this super dark brown, it is pigmented and it will show up. It's really nice, but also it's not like one of those Western shadows where instantly you see a lot of pigment and there's a lot of fallout. No, there is darkness to it, but you can build it up to something even darker, which I think is just super beginner friendly, really easy to use, and you can use it by itself or with, like I said, other glitter shadows and toppers that you have in your collection. It's just a no-brainer in my opinion, one of the best eyeshadow palettes out there. So if you do like some neutrals, this one is the way to go. I know there's also two other versions, one for a cool tone, I think it's called the Nude palette or Nude, and there's this taro kind of purpley mauvey tone, so that's for like definitely cooler and olive tones. So yeah, this is my first recommendation. I love it. The next neutral palette I want to recommend is from Darkseek. This is number 10, Autumn Breeze, and this actually is a more cool tone palette. You can see the undertones of these are slightly more bluer, and just they don't scream out like warmth. They're a little bit more like laid back, and I think that's how you can think of whether something is like warm or cool tone. So if you look at this one, I feel like you can tell this has more like a yellowy kind of orange undertone, whereas this one, put next to it, it's a lot more laid back. It's a lot more like, I guess, I don't want to use the word cool, but it definitely is something leaning more blue tone, and it's a lot more muted. I do love this palette a lot. I love Darkseek's glitters. They are some of the best glitters ever. They're super sparse, but they really do pack a punch. They're really shiny. The only complaint I have about this is that Darkseek's mattes aren't very pigmented, so these three will look super similar on your eyes, and these two look basically the same as well, so you don't get a lot of variation out of your looks. I feel it's more just like a all over deepen glitter. However, that doesn't mean this is a bad palette. I'm recommending this because it's super beginner friendly and it just works. It just makes your eyeshadow look so good. I swear I've been like complimented the most on my eyeshadow when I use one of these glitters. People have actually asked me like, what's that on your eyes? It's so shiny, and I'm like, it's Darkseek. And I do love this. I think they have some great palettes. I have lots of their palettes. I have 3. At one point I had 5, but I decluttered some of them because I felt like it was too much for my collection and I just wasn't going through them enough. So I do like this one, and this has stayed on in my collection for a while. Definitely one of my favorite neutral palettes. Now the next palette recommendation is a little bit of a cheat. I do have 2, but I feel like they're kind of like twinsy palettes, so we're going to mention both of them and count that as 1. I am going to talk about the Clio Pro eyeshadow palette. clear eyeshadows are probably what got me into K-beauty the first like instance, because these mattes blend phenomenally and the glitters shiny, buttery, and just really, really beautiful. They also have these really nice shimmers that are almost like a gel putty texture to them, really, really soft. And I have chosen Napping Cheese as the one to recommend for a warm tone lover, and that is because I feel that this palette, whilst I did give it criticism during my initial review that it doesn't give too many tonal variations because these are very light, I find myself reaching for this one more than any of my other palettes just because it's so easy to use. I use this all over. I use this to like kind of buff out the shades, deepen, or like if I feel like some pinkness, add that, pat on the glitter, and my eyeshadow look is done. It's so pretty. I absolutely love it. It's just such an easy to use palette. The formula is top notch, really, really adorable, and I do like the stickers on this as well. But the cool tone counterpart of this palette is actually the Walking on the Cozy Alley, and you can see this one is definitely a little bit more like blue tone. And what I love about this one is this one has more mattes and it only has one shimmer, which could limit your looks a little bit, but I think this shimmer is so versatile. You can use it for anything, and again, all these different like tonal variations can give you a more, I guess, diversified look, and your looks can be a little bit more varied because you have the option of these undertones, these different shades as well. I really love these Clio palettes, and this new packaging, at first I wasn't used to it, but now I'm so into it. It's so sleek and pretty. This is a limited edition one, but I think it's still for sale. This one is a permanent one in their collection. So yeah, I think they're both just absolutely incredible. Love their mattes. They blend so well. I think these blend actually a little bit better than the 3CE one, just because the 3CE palette's a little bit more powdery, their eyeshadows, whereas these, they're a bit more creamy, but honestly not a big deal. I love these. I think either of them are just no-brainers, so easy to use. So if you ever want to get a neutral palette, check out Clio. Next, I want to talk about a palette that I have been obsessed with, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize Quad. Now, this is definitely for the cool tone lover. You can see this one is a little bit more muted, and I just, there's something about this color story that just works so well. And again, this palette is so well thought out. You have this one matte shade where you can like really blend and buff. You can use this as a base. It has a little bit of a shimmer, but it's not super like, I guess, chunky, so it doesn't make your eye like protrude out. It just looks like your eyes are silky and smooth and velvety. It's just really pretty. Use this as like a highlighter under the brow bone, and this as an all over glitter, or I like to put it underneath my eyes as a little bit of an extra pop. This is just one of the most amazing neutral palettes out there. I've used this a ton. It doesn't look like it, but this palette, honestly, I think it's my favorite Charlotte Tilbury. Oh, I do like Pillow Talk a lot, and I do like this one the most though because of this one glitter shade. It is just so out of the world. It's so shiny and it's just incredibly pretty. It really just makes your eye look so much more sophisticated. Something about this pairing just makes your eye look so effortless, yet it looks like you put a lot of effort into it. I just love it when eyeshadows, you put it on, you sweep it, and it looks really, really pretty. It looks like you blended for ages, but no, it's just a formula. It works really well, and I think, yeah, this is one of the best Charlotte Tilbury palettes to get. This one is super, super pretty and definitely amazing for someone if you're looking for just like a small palette with like a quad or something like that. I do recommend this over the Tom Ford just because Tom Ford is like twice this price and this is already really expensive. I do like Tom Ford. I was going to recommend one of them, but it's a little bit out there, I think, on the price range. The last palette I want to recommend is the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 1 palette. I really, really enjoy this eyeshadow palette, and I think it is one of my favorite neutral palettes from Sephora. This palette honestly just fulfills all my fantasies about a neutral palette. I like the way it's set out because you have your mattes and you have like your glitters and they kind of match each other. So if you're looking for this shade, you can pair it with this one. Looking for this one, like, you know, it just makes sense to me. It's just easy to use, and I do like how they actually included 2 brown shades as like a cream base if you're looking for a super smoky look, or if you want to use this as eyeliner. I have used it as liner. They'll smudge a little bit, so you want to put powder on top of it to make it long lasting. Can't use it by itself. But this palette, phenomenal. Really pigmented. That's one thing. It's very different from the other palettes I recommended. The other palettes, I'm looking for something a little bit more sheerer, but this one definitely packs a punch. Really love how the glitters are. They actually perform kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury glitters in my opinion. A little bit on the drier side, but very glowy, and the shimmer and glitter, like, it stands out. It's really pretty, and honestly, it looks like I haven't touched it because it's so pigmented. I don't need a lot of the powder at all. You just need a little bit and it literally shows up. So pretty. Love this palette to bits, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it. And if you're really thinking of investing in a bigger palette, I think this one is the way to go. Ow, that snap on my finger. But if you're looking for a brown tone, more warm toned palette for every single day, and you know you love browns, this one's the one to go for. I think it's one of the best high-end neutral palettes. Really pretty. I do also really like the Anastasia Soft Glam, but because that formula is just so powdery, I don't really like using it. This one doesn't have as much like kickback, it doesn't have fallout. It's just really good. I think this is a top-notch palette and I highly recommend it. Well guys, that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and check out some of these palettes yourself. These are literally some of my favorite neutrals for every single day, and honestly, I've used these for a long time. They're my tried and true eyeshadow palettes. So please let me know if you do end up checking them out, or if you own any of them yourself. Let me know what your thoughts are and just your recommendations for your favorite neutral palettes. But that's it for today's video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, or even subscribe to my channel, and let me know down below what you would like to see from me next. But that's it from me today, and I'll see you guys next time.